Joining our coverage, Professor of Economics and Public Policy at the University of Michigan, Justin Wolfers is back. John is still here. So, Justin, what did we get?
So the most important baseline and the easiest way to understand Trump is to always remember that he came to power on January 20th. So therefore, we should compare everything to January 19th. So if you remember way back on January 19th, Nicole, you and I were not talking about soybeans. We weren't talking about rare earth minerals, and we weren't talking about high tariffs from China. Today, we're still talking about those things. Those things are a little less bad than they were last week. So we have some access to rare earth minerals, not as much as we had on January 19th. We have some American soybeans are going to get sold to China, not as many as on January 19th. And we've halved the tariffs that Trump imposed because of fentanyl. So he negotiated with himself and decided to halve the tariff that he's charging Americans on goods they import from China. Again, still much higher than they ever were on January 19th.
Let me ask you this about tariffs. I mean, this is NBC's reporting on the Senate. I don't want to use the word reasserting itself because I feel like we're not quite there yet, but they did vote to pass a bipartisan resolution to block Trump's global tariffs. I'll read you from the story. The Senate voted 51-47 to block Donald Trump's global tariffs and restore congressional authority over trade, which Democrats forced to the floor as a privileged measure. 4 Republicans joined 47 Democrats in supporting the resolution, which needed only a simple majority for passage. The 4 included both Kentucky senators, McConnell and Rand Paul, who I think are upset about bourbon, as well as Lisa Murkowski of Alaska and Susan Collins of Maine. Justin, what does that mean?
Well, first of all, wow, signs of life. Who knew we had a Senate? That's exciting. And unlike the House, apparently they're still sitting, even more exciting. Look, what we're seeing there is something that you and I have known for a long time, Nicole, which is the tariff policy is deeply unpopular. If Trump were to do what the Constitution demanded and go to Congress and ask for permission for these tariffs, he would not get permission. The American people don't want them. Businesses don't want them. The Senate just showed the Senate doesn't want them. And you want to bet that the House doesn't want to be forced to take a vote on this because home districts of a lot of congressmen are really at risk. You can talk about bourbon. We can talk about all sorts of other products. And so this is a policy that's about one man in the White House imposing his will, arguably against the Constitution. And we see yet again, these are unpopular policies.
Here's how unpopular they are, John. This is just a question of the economy. Numbers on tariffs and inflation are actually lower. But Trump approval on the economy. The Economist, YouGov, which is out this week, negative 22%, 35% approve, almost 60% disapprove. Quinnipiac has the same disapproval at 57%, 38 approve. AP is the highest disapproval. It's at 62%. 36 approve. CNBC has a 55% disapproval, 42% approve. Underwater 13 points. And Reuters and Ipsos has him underwater 18 points on the question of the economy. Brutal.
Yeah, really brutal. Also, I do want to say, Justin, dude, if you were not having conversations about soybeans and rare earth minerals back on January 19th, you were going to the right parties, man. Come out to New York. I'll take you to some of the parties I go to.
That's all everyone talks about.
A wild time at those parties. It's all we talk about is those two things. And when did you think you'd ever be in a situation where you're like cheering on Rand Paul and Mitch McConnell? Never happened in my life before, but hey, they're fighting the good fight for bourbon.
When I started interviewing the Canadians about the tariffs was when I knew to sort of cue the Rand Paul splintering away from MAGA over the bourbon.
I mean, man, the way the bourbon price has been spiking, it's killing me. It's killing me.
You're suffering.
It's killing me. But look, the question I have. So you teed this up by saying, you know, if that's the people will excuse Trump on a lot of fronts if he's delivering on the economy. As an empirical matter, he has not delivered on the economy. The main thing he said he was going to do was bring prices down.
Right.
They've not come down. Right. The tariffs are unpopular and also not working. I mean, I never thought they were going to work because they're, for all the reasons we know, but they're not working and they're really, really unpopular. Trump continues to say that his poll numbers are the best they've ever been and the economy is the best it's ever been. The one thing that is doing well is the stock market. We know that the stock market and the real economy are not the same thing. But Justin, the question I have for you is the disjuncture between the performance of the stock market and the performance of the real economy feels to me, and I'm an old man, but feels to me like it's the greatest that I've ever seen it, where the stock market's at record highs and the economy is, not, we're not in a recession. It's not as bad as it's been, but that disjuncture is really huge. Am I wrong to feel like there's never been a time when the stock market performance is more at odds with the performance of the real economy, at least in our lifetimes?
I see something there. I'm not quite sure I'm as vehement as you would be. So partly, I think the economy right now, the reality of the numbers that are coming out, it's fair to moderate. The stock market is ecstatic. If you ask people how they feel about the economy, it's downright poor or recessionary. So people's feelings versus the stock market, I think that disjunction is as large as you've ever seen.
Right.
The reality versus the stock market, well, global stocks are up. The American stock market is not doing anything particularly spectacular relative to the rest of the world. And I think that's a key part of this. So a lot of the stock market is a bet that AI is going to be the future and revolutionize our economy. It's an interesting bet, but it's also a bet that's got nothing to do with the Trump administration and the stuff we're talking about right now.
Justin, thank you for making sense of all this for us and being part of our coverage today.